What? What?
I'm Carol,
I'm Tracey.
and we're a very tired my
Outlander
purgatory.
Purgatory. Oh my goodness. We are
And cheesy too. We're cheesy
we
too.
are cheesy too. I'm trying to fix I have like a million different things going on here. There we go. There we go. Because I like to look at you small. So how is everyone today? Carol and I are tired and a little hungover. If we like
Oh, I'm not hungover. I
not.
wish. I made myself stop. I had 2 glasses of wine beforehand, and I stopped because I didn't want to carry any watermelon.
That's true. Good for you.
That's why Carol kept her mouth shut.
No, you pre-gamed. Well, I guess we both said. Well, we should talk about. Actually, we should for the people who don't get like what we're rambling on about. So, we are filming this post Tartan Affair #Tartan Affair, the premiere of Outlander season 1B, which was held at the Ziegfeld Theater in New York City. Carol and I attended, and we were lucky enough to be able to have something removed from our bucket lists, which is do interviews on a red carpet. So next is morning show hosts. That's next on the bucket list. So if anybody can make that happen, whatever.
Where's that happening?
I know, right? We totally need to be morning show hosts.
Are Matt and Savannah just going to move out for the day?
Oh, please. We're so Hoda and Kathy Lee. It's not even funny.
Oh, my God. They drink wine at 10 o'clock in the morning.
I know. We would totally do that. So anyway, we got to be on the red carpet with a lot of great fellow bloggers, fan sites. It was fabulous. I'm not even sure I will remember all of the people who were there. And we talked to pretty much all the stars of Outlander. Along with a lot of people from Starz, and it was great. And I gotta tell you guys, we're not gonna spend a lot of time on this because you've probably already seen like videos we took from the thing and pictures and whatever. But I just have to tell you, everyone we talked to a person, so bloody nice. Carol agrees with me, even though she's not there. What am I right, Carol?
Everybody was awesome.
Like, they were so nice, so patient, because it was, like, really cold on that red carpet, even though it was in a tent.
Yeah, and, like, super helpful with our tickets, and oh, okay, guys, you guys come this way, don't worry, we'll help. I mean, it was like, we didn't have to do anything.
I feel kind of bad, because from what I'm hearing today, because it's the day after, you know, it was kind of a difficult situation where there were a lot of people there. There were a lot of lines. Maybe people didn't know where they were supposed to go or which line they were supposed to be in or whatever.
You're even talking slow.
I know. I'm sorry, you guys. I
didn't know where they go.
That's just really tired. I'm telling you right now. I went to bed last night around like 1:15, 1:30, and I got up at 7:30 to go to work.
All right. Okay. So did everybody else.
It was great. You know, watch our. We should by the time this is up, we should have all the videos that we took on the red carpet up for you. If you were able to see any of the Periscope live streaming we did, I know that was kind of quirky.
I'm afraid. Did you go back? Did you save it all?
I can't access all of them. I can access some of them, but not all of them. I don't know why.
What was great about that Periscope is that while Tracey was doing it, people are making comments, and you were even commenting on their comments.
Right. I think I said to Sam, like, you don't even know what this thing is doing right now. Like, you don't even know.
And then I took video, so I've got video of us talking to Sam about whatever people are saying on Periscope. It was cool.
It was very cool. So not all of the Periscope videos saved for some reason, but we have them all on regular video as well too, not just live streaming.
Yes, because I did this all night.
Oh my God, I have to tell you, because all of the stars came in like a 10-minute period, and I had the Periscope video up like this. I had the microphone to the video. Carol was holding up like this, and my little questions in a finger for like 15 minutes, standing like that. My arm still hurt.
Let me tell you something. You should have seen me when I realized out of the corner of my eye we were talking with maybe Graham, who was right in front of Tobias.
Graham and Gary.
We were talking with them, and all of a sudden, out of the corner of my eye, I'm like, I hear the voice. And I'm taking video of Graham and Gary, and all of a sudden I whip out my own phone and I go, shh. And then I'm videoing him talking, and that it was.
Carol, I have to tell you, I'm very impressed because I went on Facebook today. Carol really did a good job with the Facebook updating. I was too busy with Twitter and Periscope. But I gotta say, like, I know you took all these videos, but you also took really great photographs as well. And I was like, wait, was Carol taking those while she was videoing? Did she, like, not video this part? Because I'm going to be really mad if she didn't.
Was it the Q&A, or was it...
No, it was, like, on the red carpet. So you really must have been, like, right hand blue, left hand red.
It was like hand twister. I totally was. And then today, my daughter looks at the phone that you had, the old phone that you must have had in a drawer somewhere, and goes, "Ew, that's dirty." And I'm like, "Oh, this is what the stars were looking at while I'm holding this."
No, it's all good. It's all good. So you'll know pretty much. You'll have the same experience we did, and it was great. And thank you so much to Starz. Oh, that's what I was gonna say. So the burning question of the day, and I'll let Carol answer it. Carol, are you back together with Tobias? For those of you who didn't know, they were on a bit of a break.
Including him. He doesn't know either.
He would be too sad if he did know.
Let me tell you a little something about Tobias Menzies. I noticed when we met him in the fall that he really, like, looks into your eyes, you know? And last night, when he came along, said hello, and when he left and said goodbye, he's very, very good at, like, if you were speaking with him, if you were asking the questions, he would look at you and say, "Okay, goodbye, thanks so much." And then he would look at me, "Goodbye, thank you." And he would look at every single person in the eye who was standing there. And this is me. I hear and I obey. Like, wow.
Oh my God.
So, yes.
My God. It was like he looked into your soul.
Tracey, he stared right on in there. Right on into my soul.
So I'm thinking that you're back together. Is that correct?
As far as I know. I don't think he'll ever know.
Okay, so it was great. We'll, like, have a lot of video from the event up. And thank you to Starz. Thank you to the Starz. Thank you to all of our fellow bloggers. Carol and I, thank you for encouraging other stars to come to the red carpet, including the one person that Carol and I totally unabashedly fangirled over, who was, I guess it wasn't that big a deal.
Oh, I don't know her name.
Tova Felshue.
Okay, for those of you who also don't know her name, the woman who was very important this season on The Walking Dead. I fangirled like no other.
I fangirl too, because like she's done a lot of stage work and stuff that I'm just like, oh my god, I love her so much. So anyway, okay, moving on, because we don't want this video to be very long.
Yeah, it already is.
It already is.
Good luck with that.
You know, so basically, we did the red carpet thing. So then we all got to watch the premiere. We missed like the first 15 minutes because we were on the red carpet and we were like the last one on the line. So
second to last.
Outlander cast. Our friend Blake, our new friend Blake at Outlander cast,
who I owe a massive apology to because I totally jumped his Tobias train. He was talking about Rome with Tobias, and I was a big Rome fan, as I've blathered on about many times, and I was just listening, But then he says, I have to be honest with you, I hated Brutus. I hated your character. I thought he was evil, whatever he said, I'm paraphrasing. And it just came out of nowhere. I just went, he was conflicted. I am so sorry because I hate when people do that to people. It was his moment and I jumped into it and I'm sorry.
All I know is we had the best end of the line. Sorry, folks. Sorry, Access Hollywood. Sorry, USA Today. But, like, our end of the line was the rockin' party end.
We had a good time, yeah.
It was totally good.
And let me tell all of you guys, every single one of those actors was so professional and so gracious. They all stayed and talked. Not one of them hurried. Not one of them brushed us off.
Right.
They all answered all our questions. They just were lovely people. Every single one of them. There's not one person that I went, oh, well, he could have, been a
No, they were all great. They were all great. So all right. So when we finally did go into the premiere, so we saw the show. We've seen it. We've each watched it again, I guess, today. Yes.
How could we have done that?
Oh, we just watched it in our mind. Remember
edit. Edit.
We watched it in our mind. Okay, so let's hold on a minute.
Am I still on camera?
What? Yes,
I don't
I'll
know.
cut that out.
Did you pause it?
No.
Oh, hi. I should have been talking the whole time you were
going. So let's jump right into Outlander season 1B.
Go.
So okay.
I'm turning it on.
Okay. So there's a cold open where and you've probably seen it because I think they had it. I know I had seen it. They had it available, and everyone was like, "Who's the girl?" at the very end. Well, it's Larry, as we know now. And I guess that like everything that came before the scene with them was supposed to be some sort of flashback.
Yes.
And so like Leary was meant to be like the big choice that he had to make. Like
I've always known.
We'll come back to that. Like I wrote down Leary was set up to be a choice. Like the big choice. I don't know.
Step and then never forward.
But anyway, it's great. It's great to hear Jamie's voiceover. Although I think both Carol and I agree.
And saw that each step I'd taken was a choice.
It was a little heavy-handed on the Jamie voiceover. And for me to say that...
You know what's awful is I'm sitting here going, is this from the book?
What, the voiceover?
Yes.
No, that's from the Midnight Sun version of Outlander.
Like, I was like, never forward, never... I'm like, what?
Yeah, but, all good. So we have that cold opening, and then they have, like, the big thing of his face, and then we get, sing me a song, no, I'm sorry. I messed this up, because...
You missed it. I picked it up and showed his big face.
Because there was... Wait. Now Did the... No. Okay, I'm right. I'm sorry. I'm like...
Right after that, they talked to what's his name,
yes,
who's the deserter.
We need to talk about Horrocks.
The deserter.
Hello.
What?
Am I the only one that was like, hello, Horrocks?
I know. I was like, you're fine. And you have some blue eyes.
Yes! I wrote down, Horrocks, Jamie, blue eyes, stare down. The very end moment where they're staring at each other, I was just like, this is like looking at the sun. I just can't.
Or Tobias.
Those are, like, let's just talk about him for a second, all right? Because I wrote down Ned Stark meets, and I couldn't think of who his voice sounded like, because he had that, like, rockin' Irish accent.
Ned Stark?
He looked like Ned Stark, a little bit. Maybe it's slightly less burly Ned Stark. But I was just like, oh, can we go back to Horrocks, please? Because, yeah. Am I right?
Yeah, I was like, hello. I was like, well, since your part's over now here, why don't you just hop on over to Turn and make it out of you, and I can watch you weekly.
So yeah, so the Horrocks stuff was pretty good. That was pretty dang good. And those were some blue eyes. So
Okay, so anyway.
So then we get the starting. And we see Jamie put on the kilt, and that was kind of cool too. Although I couldn't figure out like when that was happening.
That was when he's setting off to go get Claire.
Well, no, I don't think he was like, Claire's in danger, I have to save her. But first, I have to put my kilt on.
You're right.
I don't know. It was sort of representational, I think.
Didn't you like the scene with, I always called him Horrocks. I don't know how you say it.
Horrocks? Horrocks.
Horrocks sounds like Borox.
He sounds like whore.
Hook up. I just found it very interesting, just the whole scene, because I'm not like you guys. I don't read the books every other week, so like I was sitting there
every other week,
and I'm sitting there. Well, I don't necessarily mean you. I just mean like there's a lot of people online who constantly read over and over again, and I just don't do that.
We used to do that when we first read the book.
I read it like twice and then listened to it once, whatever. So I kind of forget, and it's awesome because then I'm like, wait, what's going to happen? And then he says Blackjack Randall, and I'm like, oh yeah. So they went for nothing. It just was all for nothing, and I loved how Dougal came flying over to grab Jamie because he knew Jamie was going to go off on the man Borax.
Yep.
Borax. Get out. So that was very cool. Okay.
Borat?
I'm calling him Borax now.
I just, like, it was interesting to me, too, because, because the book is all in Claire's point of view, we never see him. But, so I don't even know that I thought really that much about what he might look like or whether he'd be hot or not, but, hey.
Apparently he was.
Apparently he was.
So let's keep going.
Okay. So, then we have the rescue. It was very cool. Was it different in that, like, did they have in the book that Ned said don't kill anybody? Because I swear to God in the book I thought Jamie was killing people all over the place.
I do too. Well, let's be honest. In the book, I was picturing, like, a house with, like, a window that he, like, just put his leg over on the first floor and just went.
A castle with moat.
And they were, like, at a desk. Like, I didn't picture this. This was way better. And how about the big old jump into the water? It was like Jamie Cassidy and the Claire Dance Kid. Honest to God,
yeah,
I was like,
pretty good.
When he looked over and saw the water, and you knew he was sizing it up, like, all right, if it comes to that, we can jump. And when she didn't even balk at it.
I know. Well, I mean, like, what is she gonna do?
I know.
Clearly, she doesn't have much of a choice, but
it's like red coats leaping to my death in the water. Red coats, cake or death, cake or death.
So I mean, that the rescue was great. That went pretty much like textbook according to the book, except nobody really died. And Tobias is just so great. He's so great. He's so creepy. So now, one thing I found interesting in that scene though was that he was like, I mean, he's just full on like, yeah, women don't interest me. In that scene, did you notice that?
Yeah, he was like, come on over here.
I don't know why anybody wants to get their pleasure with a woman, let alone this hussy, brazen, blah blah blah.
But wait, and wasn't that scene in the book where she realizes that he?
Yes, and that's you're absolutely right, and that's what sets him off because he can't do it, and she's like, you can't do it. You're just,
Yeah,
and that's what makes him really mad.
I have to say, I'm going to come out and say it right now. I mean, as always, amazing acting, wonderfully written, beautifully made, blah, 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 blah. But I had a hard time with this episode, with the differences. Just what I was expecting from the book. It was still amazing, but what I was expecting from the book and what the show was, there were a lot of changes. And seeing as my favorite scene in the whole book was in this, it freaked me out a little bit. But like that, it didn't go down. She was also much more, I guess it's for TV, for screen. He's much more terrifying than when I was reading it. And she was chastising him in the book.
Yeah.
You remember?
Yeah.
And in this, she's kind of like just freaking out and yelling. You know, it was cool that she yelled at Jamie, just go, just get out of here. That was cool.
That was cool. That was cool. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about that later in the year. Why it was cool. Because I don't really feel like putting a spoiler alert on
Okay, I hear you. No, that's cool. Keep going. Keep going.
I could do it, but
Keep it moving. They don't want a spoiler alert anyway.
It's just a pain in the butt to do spoiler alerts with the little bursts and whatnot. But so no, but I mean that pretty much went down. I mean there's these little bits and pieces, you know, but that pretty much went down the way it did in my head. I'll have to say, more or less.
Really?
Yeah.
But what about Claire being like laughing
that all
at
happened
him
beforehand? That all happened like before Jamie even came in. You know?
Right?
That was all like that.
But we never saw it happen.
No. Not
and she was terrified from the get-go. I mean, he had her on the desk with a knife.
Right. But in the book, all of that, like, you know, you can't get it up. That all happened before Jamie got there, and I think he got really pissed off, Blackjack. And by the point Jamie got there, Claire was in real trouble. You know, she was kind of mouthy to him before Jamie arrived.
Right. But I mean, it's always going to be overdone for screen, so that didn't shock me.
But no, I thought, you know, once Jamie gets in that window, the whole thing goes down like pretty much what I pictured. You know, it was very cool.
I loved seeing Tobias like laughing at him, like, no way.
Well, I have to say, that was more effective in the last episode, ending the last episode because of the music. Because the music was kind of like, and it just worked way better with the music. I mean, it was fine now, but it was...
All right, so let's move on. So,
so no one gets killed. All right, so they go back. You know, they've got to water the horses, and Jamie and Claire go into the woods to have their little conversation. I just wrote down perfection. I thought that whole scene with them from beginning to end, perfection, and it made me cry. The second time I watched it, it made me weepy.
Right.
When he just looks at her and he goes, "Forgiven."
I know. I didn't expect it.
Bravo to the two of them.
Because I just kept thinking, if that were me, I'd be like, yeah, you can wait a day. You're not getting away with it that quickly.
No, I mean, that whole thing. Did I remember reading somewhere that was like an audition scene for them?
I don't know, but
I think I did.
He spat out some serious Scott speak. And I was like, how many takes did you have to go through?
It was great. I mean, he was both of them were just so into it.
Perfect.
It was perfect. It was really perfect. I'm really trying to like think of
Tracey,
you know, something to say. Oh,
I liked all the face touching.
I know.
There's lots of face touching.
I know. Now, but okay, I do have to mention one thing. And this was the place where the voiceover started to really bug me. When he's like, I do not have to make a choice there. You know, I knew I was falling in love.
Cheese?
Yeah. Wet, yeah. You don't need to tell me, James Alexander Fraser. Don't need to tell me that. Like, and... Don't need to tell me that. Maybe this isn't even a spoiler, really. But you don't. No, yes, it was cheesy, and I'm not even going to spoil anything. But do you agree? Thoughts?
I'm not a big voiceover fan.
I was just like, when he was like, I was falling in love. I was like, ew.
I know.
No. All right. So
sometimes they do things that number one are just what they think women want to hear. And then maybe for people who aren't fans, you know, haven't read the books. I don't know, but yeah, I was like, I'm sorry.
I mean, you can't tell. Like, you know, like show it, don't tell it. First rule of Fight Club.
Right.
So all right. So that was the one thing, but I was like, you know, all forgiven. Outlander, you are forgiven for that line. Okay, so then what's next? Then they go back to Laoghaire, and we go to bed, and here comes the spanking scene. And again, I have to say, like, very much the way, like very much, very true to my picture of it from the book. The only thing that was a little different was Claire really did give as good as she got. Like, I don't remember in the book how, like, Claire, Claire, like, did that foot move and, like, pretty much gave him a black eye.
And all I could think of was, is she wearing any tighty-whities?
No, of course not.
No, I mean, duh. But I mean, she's doing all this stuff, and I'm thinking now, she didn't, like, you gotta be doing this with nothing on. They must have some Hollywood get up or something. I don't know.
Wait, yeah, like that he was really spanking her?
No, when she had to do that kick. And I'm like, isn't my girl naked under there?
Well, they probably shot it so that, like, you wouldn't really, see it.
They have to have some kind of,
like, the patch.
You know how the men have it? Yeah, exactly.
The safety.
In fact, you know what? That's what we should ask on the red carpet.
I know. I was just thinking the same thing. Like, how did you do that?
I would love to hear about that kind of stuff, about what they wear and how they get around this and that and blah, blah, blah.
So it will be all right. So, like, obviously we've read the book. We know it's coming. Personally, I get it. It's that time. I didn't find it incredibly offensive when I read it because I got where they were coming from with it. I did. We've talked about how they were going to do that scene for a while. And I do think that they really stressed this whole idea of, like, Jamie had to do that not only to teach Claire a lesson, but, like, because he was going to be in deep doo-doo with the dudes if he did not.
He explained himself thoroughly.
Yeah, I completely agree.
And again, how many times do we have to say it was the 18th century and that's what they did? I mean, I will never understand why this is a problem. We're depicting, I mean, you watch so many different things that are horrific on TV. Mm-hmm. This is going to bother you? What? Guess what? Truth hurts. It happened.
Yeah. No,
it went down. Well, deal with it.
People would be like, that doesn't make it right. And, you can have that argument. Was it right for Jamie to do it?
What?
I mean,
what are you gonna cover up history now and whitewash it?
I don't think that's. I mean, okay. I'm not covering up history, and I'm not saying that it's right or wrong. It's just like that's the way it was.
Well, I'm not talking to you.
People who have a problem with it would.
I'm talking to the people who have a problem with it.
People who have a problem with it come back with you with, that doesn't make it right. Well, I don't care if it's right or wrong. Like, that doesn't. We're saying the same thing. We're singing the same tune.
That doesn't make terrorism right, but we still see it on TV on Homeland.
Okay. Okay.
What are we going to whitewash history? This is the way it was. What do you want them not to show it? Like,
right.
Well,
Right. But people, it'll be. This is the thing. I want to hear what the reaction is going to be, because I will say that we are, like, filming this before everybody else has seen it. But it's before Saturday. I can tell you in the theater when that scene came on, everybody laughed. Did you notice that?
Well, yeah. Well, the one main thing that I found very interesting in this scene that I think was done so deliberately was the music. Mm-hmm. The minute it starts, you hear, like, the banjo.
You hear the end of the last episode music, where it's a really scary situation with Jamie and the gun, and he's got the knife, and then the music is like.
I am telling you, here's another thing I wish I could have asked somebody. I felt like shades of The Quiet Man. I was feeling The Quiet Man.
I don't think I've ever seen that.
Oh, watch The Quiet Man. we won't even go there because you haven't seen it, but I was just getting a little bit of that, and then he says, I didn't say I'm not going to enjoy
and
it.
he did that really well because I always I could never picture how that would go down in my head, and I thought it was just right.
Was she like throwing things at him and stuff in the book?
She was throwing things at him. Then she I don't know if she got him in the groin at some point, and then she did like the karate foot kick. She fought back. She fought back a lot. Like he definitely got as good as he gave.
I have to read that whole scene again.
So I know, me too. Yeah. But anyway, I thought it was well done. I'll be very curious to hear what other people have to say about it that have not read the books.
Don't care.
And okay, moving on. So, well, this happened a little bit later, but like I'll just say, leery, not pleased. I wrote that down.
What did she keep saying? Why did you do it?
Why'd you do it, Jamie? Why'd you do it?
It was the way she was saying. Why did you do it?
Why'd you do it, Jamie?
I can't do it, but I'm trying to find it, but I'm stuck. So
then we have the whole middle section of this episode, which is not in the book, to the best of my knowledge, which was interesting, but which went on just a little too long.
I know.
And that
Didn't I lean over to you and say something like, "Oh God, they're doing this for like the guys."
Yeah, I could see that. Well, it was the whole idea of the Mackenzie the Mackenzie Civil War, basically, where Colm's pissed off anyway that Dougal made Jamie marry a Sassenach, and now whatever. But Colm also found out. I guess is it Georgie or who's that dude? Who's that dude that was already in trouble because he let Claire go? And then he ratted out Dougal to Colm, and he was just, forget it. That's it.
Oh yeah.
I think it's Georgie, but I'm not sure because I always get Geordie and Georgie mixed up. Maybe he was Geordie.
Wasn't Georgie the one who died?
No, that was Geordie.
Oh God.
Anywho, so I'm losing my mind here. Yeah, so Colm finds out that they've been collecting money for Bonnie Prince Charlie, and he takes the money, and they're all pissy, and then it's Jamie's like, what do I do? I don't want to be in the middle of it, and then he finally sort of tells Colm, look, let Dougal keep the money, the whole Bonnie Prince Charlie thing is kind of a joke anyway. If something happens and things start getting serious, then you can figure out what to do then. But keep peace with the clan, and that's pretty much what went down in the whole middle part of the episode. I think. Am I right?
Well, yeah, and because I knew what was coming, I was like, yeah, whatever. I really barely paid attention to it.
I mean, I think that it was interesting in terms of really starting to hint at this whole Jacobite uprising and getting more information about Bonnie Prince Charlie, because even in the book, I don't even think it's really a spoiler that becomes more important in later books, perhaps.
Yeah.
But is not really dealt with so much in Outlander, but you really do need to have the historical context for it. So I like that they're kind of laying the groundwork for that. Even now, this early on,
right?
And I mean, it gave Gary Lewis and Graham McIntosh or McTavish or I'm sorry, I'm totally. Somebody called him Macintosh on that panel lady. That I don't remember. Whatever.
The one who called Jamie Fraser.
No, it's Graham McTavish, isn't it? Yes, it's Graham McTavish.
And to you, it was nails on a chalk.
Yeah.
You were
Fraser. And look, let's give it up for Sam Hewitt, who plays Jamie Fraser. And you hear this collective, 1,500 Outlander fans go, Fraser! And she said it several times.
It's hard to recondition yourself, I will admit, because I had to do it to myself, but it's Fraser.
I know. And this wasn't even her first time doing a panel. Whatever. Anywho, it gave those two fine actors a chance to have some really good scenes together.
Right. Agreed.
So it was good. Did it go on a smidgen too long? Was it a little too maybe masculine?
Who are we to talk about things going on a little too long? Because this video is starting to get...
Okay, well, we're out of the middle of the episode, though, so now we can get rolling a little bit. Okay, so... all right. Oh, I did the very last part of that made me laugh, which was Ned being all, like, sucking up to Colin, and then...
Colin being like...
Yeah, like...
Ow.
Talk to the hands.
Yeah. Colin was like,
talk
yeah,
to the head,
really?
Ned.
No.
Yeah, that was pretty hilarious. So then we go back. Then we return to Jamie at the pond or at the river, which is making me think this whole thing is a big flashback. Or I don't know.
It was. They started out in the middle.
Right.
And they went back.
But it was almost like Leary was wearing something different this time, but maybe not.
Oh, so, yeah. It's called Almost Nothing.
So then we find out that, oh, okay, this is how she's being played in the TV show.
Slut! Slut! You know, it reminded me, like, I just was like, I had a laugh when she was like, I can't even do that. I've never laid with anyone, and I'm thinking, bullshit.
Yeah, you know, I don't remember what I thought about her. No, I guess she probably didn't. But I think she's been around the block. I think, I think she's been around the block. I mean, maybe he hasn't run all the bases, but, like, she's gotten a triple, like, I'm sure, you know, once or twice. Whatevs.
But here we go again, and I have to jump a little bit. Here we go again with a scene that has to be done this way for television because if you haven't read the book, you don't know the backstory and her and blah, 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 although you have seen them kissing and stuff. But this never happened. You know what I mean? Like, I loved the return to Laoghaire in the book, the way it went down with Claire being exhausted and Jamie carrying her up, and then him disappearing and Claire being in her head, because that, I think I can relate to that, being all, but wait, and Claire was all conflicted in her mind, and but I don't love him, but I do love him, and oh, and he's with her, and blah, 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 and then he comes back, and she's accusing him, and none of that happens, like, because of this scene with him, with Leary, by the brook, and I liked it. I'm certainly not one to say I don't like new scenes, like that didn't happen in the book. That article for Hypeable, Laura asked what our favorite scene was so far, and I said when Frank is standing at the stones yelling Claire. And that never happened. So I am not against scenes that have never happened. It's just, I was just, like I said, this episode was my favorite scene from the book, and it just didn't go down the same way. So I was a little disappointed.
Let me ask you this, because I thought of you when Leary's all, you know, these are my boobs, like I want you to have them, and he sort of seemed like he would be, yeah,
please,
like. I thought that might piss you off. I thought I have expected you to be like, you know, like,
no, because
what the F, Jamie?
He's not. They haven't been through everything yet. They haven't like put down any roots. Like they just got married. Like at this point, you're still like, is this even gonna last? Right. So no, that didn't bother me. Although I did notice it. I was like, was that a squeeze?
And again, like, you know, that's this whole choice that he's making. He's like, that's really the big choice that he's debating is like, you know, what do I do? What do I do with
because she would be obedient.
Right.
She's what he always thought a wife was going to be. She would be obedient, and she would do whatever he told her. And talk about a little bit of foreshadowing from a comment that's made. I'm not even going to go there. I'll just remind me to tell you that later.
Okay.
But, you know, seriously, like he knows that Leary's going to be, can't believe I'm saying Leary when I've said Leghair for 5 years. But he knows that she's going to be the loyal little adoring wife who's going to do whatever he
That
tells
will
her.
obey him.
And will obey.
Mm-hmm.
And Claire will never obey.
Right, but as we also find out, he's also questioning his own, not ethics, but like beliefs, or like not only what a wife is supposed to be in terms of obeying, but what a husband's supposed to be like.
Which I love. Which
right.
I love because it's from Jamie's perspective. We don't see this in the book. We don't see the inner turmoil that Jamie goes through.
Right.
Mentally, emotionally, we don't see any of that. Right, so it's really neat, and it always makes me happy because it makes me feel like I get to experience it all over, like new instead of all over again, but new.
What you just said makes a lot of sense because in the book, and I'm going to move ahead to like our final scene of the night. When Jamie in the show, Jamie sort of comes after a long struggle. Comes to the conclusion that this idea of me being able to beat my wife into submission or whatever is wrong, and I'm not going to do it anymore, even though that's the way it's always been done. And I pledge you, and then he pulls out the knife and pledges the loyalty or the fealty there. Whereas in the book, he kind of does that as a response because Claire pulls the knife on him first, if I'm remembering this correctly.
Right.
So it's not quite as much something that he's been struggling with for a significant amount of time. This whole idea of like maybe there is something to this whole like a wife is not chattel or not like the whole obey thing is not necessarily the way it should go down.
The heart wants what the heart wants. He loves Claire and he knows it.
Right. Although he doesn't have to tell us because we'll figure it out. So he comes back and he's like, basically, what do you want to do? Like, I won't ever, I pledge my fealty, whatever. And she's like, yeah, whatever. And he's just like, I don't know what else to do. And do you want to live separately? And, he, of course, like,
do you wish to live separately?
Do you wish to live separate lives or separately? Of course she says, I should, but no. Because, like, he's Jamie, whatever.
Because you be hot.
And then, boom, chicken brown.
See, but are you feeling that with her?
What, that she's hot?
I'm going, I guess because it's, again, in the book, you're hearing her inner turmoil. And you're so much more aware of her falling for him. Whereas in the show, if I hadn't read this book and I was just watching the show, I would think she's still going to turn herself around and run as soon as she gets a chance.
I thought that too in the book at this point. I mean, I thought she was really conflicted.
I thought she was conflicted, but I feel like just because it was the book and because you're privy to what's going on in her brain, you're feeling it more. At this point in the show, I'm not feeling that that love that she's starting to feel for him. I'm feeling more of like she did when they were when they had their little fight and he said, "You're tearing my guts out," which was to me one of the greatest things I've seen in this series so far. Like really tapping into Jamie Fraser. See? And where the heck was I going with that? I just lost my train of thought.
That she's in love with him, or
yeah, like I just like yes, she did. She had a look on her face that she did. You could tell. Okay, she's not just feeling bad. She's feeling bad for him. Like she's feeling bad that she hurt him. So that was a real kind of turning point.
I mean, I guess now that I think about it, this moment was for me in the book the moment where she sort of made a decision, conscious or unconscious, to that's it. I'm not going to try to go back anymore. All right. So, what did you think of that whole sequence? I have one specific thing I want to discuss.
The sex?
Yeah. Well, I mean, like in general, but I have one specific part of that I want to discuss.
I I told you it wasn't like the book, so I was kind of having a bit of a hard time with it. I didn't not like it. And like I said, if it was a scene that I really didn't care about, it wouldn't faze me.
Mm-hmm.
But because it was my favorite scene in the book, which I clearly have to go back and read again, I do not.
I cannot be gentle about it, right?
Oh, totally. I haven't been that disappointed since he didn't say, if you get the lassie off my chest and fetch me a clean shirt. You know, I was disappointed that I didn't hear, I cannot be gentle about it. And also, he said that, and she was like, okay, and then wasn't he the aggressor? And he had her two hands like this over her head.
Oh, yeah.
And the rings are hitting the wall.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I don't remember a hop on pop situation that was beyond. I mean, that was she was like effing him to death. I was like,
well, like in the show?
Yeah.
That's getting to what I want to discuss, which is
the fact that it should be on the Playboy channel. Holy mackerel.
I really was like, because, I was like, if this was a movie, would it be NC-17?
Tracey, I don't want to say I was uncomfortable, because that makes me sound really prudish, and I wasn't expecting it to be quite...
In the book, it was pretty primal. I mean, I would call this pretty primal.
But he was it wasn't her, it was him.
I think it was, in the book, I mean, he instigated, he was the one who said, I can't be gentle about it, but she didn't care, and I don't think she was gentle about it either.
But I don't want to be so boring as to say he was on top, but he was on top.
What, in the book? Let's discuss what I want to discuss, because it has to do with all of this, and it's a change. It's probably, for me, in some ways, the most significant change from the book, which is the whole pledge of fealty and the knife. In the book, there's a lot of like them on horseback going back to Laoghaire, and they talk a lot. There's a lot of discussions, and at one point. It's not his knife. It's she pulls her skin do. Like, I don't know what they're talking about, but she pulls her skin do and gets him and says, like, if you ever, I think maybe he does say, like, do you want to, share my bed again, whatever. And she pulls it and she's like, if you ever, hit me again or whatever, I'll cut your heart out and eat it.
Right.
She says the exact same thing. And he's like, give me the knife. She's like, what? And he's like, just give me the knife. And so she gives him the knife, and that's when he pledges the fealty to her.
Right.
So that's not the way it went down in the show. In the show, he pledges fealty to her. Then all of a sudden, in the middle of being busy, she pulls a knife on him. And that needs to be discussed. Like, what implications that has. I mean, is that like I would love to have a discussion with whoever wrote this episode.
I did not care for it.
I mean, it's clearly a statement on Claire and her like power in this relationship and her power as a woman. But I would say, if I were Jamie, I'd be like, oh my God, like, don't hold a knife on me, like, at this point in the proceedings, dude. Because, it's going to scar me for life.
Oh, I just noticed that they did do the up on the hands. That used to happen a lot in the book. In the beginning with his unflagging joy.
Oh, yeah.
And she had to tell him, like,
But, like... Yeah, so, like, I don't know. I have to process the knife thing a little more. I mean, I get where they were going with it, and I would really like to hear people's opinions about this, too. And whether they liked it or didn't, and, like, what it contributed to what we know about Claire. And I do. I think it was, like, some sort of, like, a statement of power and a statement of There's a big difference between pulling that move, in a field on horseback or like, when you're walking around and pulling that move when, you're doing it.
Yeah, but I really can't say too much because it would be, here we go again with a spoiler, and I need to write these down so I can tell you later because I can't say it now, but there's something very big that I gotta write it down. I can't say it. I will say this. I remember this scene being very much, she said no at one point. He had her hands over her head. The rings were hitting the wall.
Yeah.
One hand on, and that I also would have liked to have seen. I don't remember seeing that. One hand on both of her hands, and the other hand,
Oh, yeah.
And that I wanted to see. And I also loved it when, and again, I'm not complaining. Please do not think that, oh, Carol didn't like it and she's complaining. No. I'm just saying it was different, and I would have preferred it a different way, but it wasn't bad the way it is. But I didn't care for the knife. I can't really say I'm a creature of habit, and I wanted to see exactly the way it was because, like I've already told you, there have been a few scenes that I've liked that they've added things or changed things. But I remember her being very, and again, we can't see it this way, but she was very conflicted in her mind because he was not being gentle about it. And at one point she started to say no, and he told her, tough shit. Yeah. And that was a whole kind of, to me, that was just as big as the spanking. I mean, that's bigger than the spanking.
That's really funny you should say that because I gotta say, for me personally, I was thinking the same thing with this knife pulling stuff in terms of I find that more like, I don't know. I mean, is it like a statement of her power in the relationship, or is it like some sort of like quasi kinky 50 Shades of Grey thing?
Or is it some kind of apology to the people who don't like the whole spanking thing? And don't worry, you'll see her getting back at him. I mean, and I don't like that. It changes the whole dynamic. And like I said, you can't, I guess they can't do it because they can't cover it because it's in her mind. But she goes through not a metamorphosis, but she goes through a major something during when he's being very, very forceful, and she's like, no, and all of a sudden, like, she likes the whole not gentle thing. Mm-hmm. She says her body is betraying her mind, I think at one point, something like that. Mm-hmm. And then next thing you know, she's totally there with him together. Mm-hmm. And ta-da! You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So that's what I love about the scene and found so just...
So she never, like, really had to be convinced in the show.
She's hopping on pop. I don't... And the girls in the car last night, like Shannon, I said, I don't remember her being on top. I got sleeping kids. And she was like, no, she was. And I was like, I don't think so. And I said, I need to go back and read that scene again.
I know. I should find it right here.
I don't remember. And they changed it. They changed it. Maybe they realized we can't get inside her brain to feel all of this going on, so we're going to change it. But I did feel like it was a bit of an explanation / apology. Oh, don't worry, we're going to show her really going to town. I didn't care for it. I did not care for I just felt like this isn't the Jamie and Claire that this isn't the Jamie and Claire that I spent time with in this scene. I've read that scene. Okay, I might not have read the book a million times, but I've read that scene a million times. And not for the sex. That's one thing that it's another thing that I question. Do they think that so many of us readers / fans / watchers of the show just want to see the sex? because that's not what it's about for me. You know what I'm saying? Is it interesting and fun to watch? Sure. But it's about much, much, much more than that. So
which scene did you enjoy more? The scene, the like, all is forgiven scene in the woods, or the sex scene?
All's Forgiven in the Woods.
Completely, totally, 100% agree. I don't know that there will be people that will agree with us. That's a good poll. Like, put in the comments, which one did you guys like more?
It's the intimacy. It's the, I don't need them to be going to town like 50 Shades. I don't need the knife in the throat. I don't need the, you know what I mean?
But see, this is the thing. In the book, they did sort of. You could make an argument that they did go to town like 50 Shades, because to what you're saying, it was a lot of like him being forceful, her, saying no, but her body betraying her or whatever.
Right, but do you remember it had even started a whole conversation about Diana Gabaldon was even talking about, like, don't you remember that this went on like on CompuServe or something about like, does a woman really want to be taken?
Yeah.
That was the scene.
Yes.
She was taken and she liked it. And none of that was covered in this scene.
Mm-hmm. I think your point is a good one in that, like, had you had a spanking scene and then a scene of like woman who wants to be taken, like, that's going to send people over the edge. There's going to be a lot of people out there that it's possible. It's possible. What you said, you made the point of like balance of power. And that may be where the knife thing is coming from. Balance of power.
Right.
Tit for tat, so to speak.
But see, that's where it bothers me, because like I said, when you said before, oh, we're going to have people getting upset, we don't know the backlash until after, but it's kind of like, well, like I said, I don't care. This is the story. If you don't like it, you don't like it. But that was the book I read. This wasn't the book I read. But that's okay, because it's an adaptation.
Right.
So, and I know they can't do everything. They can't express it all. They can't show it to you on screen the way it is in the book, so they change it. Mm-hmm. This is just happens to be one change that I am not down with. But you know what? Life goes on, and I love the show, so it's fine. I
think I want to read more or hear other people's thoughts about like that scene, like pulling a knife during sex. Is it statement of power, or is it like overly kinky and creepy? Discuss.
I also felt like it was. I'm afraid I'm going to get in trouble if I say this. I felt the same way about this scene that I did for part of like the wedding scene, which was the Jamie Fraser I read about, even though he was a virgin, you know what I mean? Even though if he needed guidance, he would ask, all that stuff. He was still a strapping Highlander. Mm. I don't want to really see him sometimes in some of the light that we see him in the submissive role. I don't really want to see him submissive. And I feel like in the most major sex scenes we have seen, the wedding and this, he is submissive. And I think that's what creeped me out. I think I just had a revelation.
Huh. Interesting. I will say that this scene yesterday, or in this week, as just at how it went down in my mind, much closer to the book for me in this episode than the wedding episode. For me. Maybe not for you, but for me, this particular scene was much closer to what I pictured in my head, except for the whole knife thing, than the wedding was.
neither
a whole
one of
other
them.
video for like to recap the wedding again and like sort of talk through that more.
Yeah, neither one of them. I told you. I guess it's safe to say this now. In the wedding there was one point where I think she was going downtown, and he was in the
they're like the Austin Powers,
and all I could think of was Austin Powers, and that Madonna song, and he's laying, and it's all psychedelic, and that's because the camera was doing this, and that's what I'm saying. That I did not like at all in the wedding scene. So that really, this is where I guess maybe that's my problem. I think I don't want to see him being. I'm not saying I want him to be beating her every day.
Right.
I'm just saying I want it to be. I don't want a submissive Jamie Fraser.
Interesting. Well, whoa. Echo. Well, it'll be very interesting to see what people have in the comments. I'm trying to think of anything else. Oh, then we see the ill wish after that, and
that was so Blair Witch creepy. I loved it.
It was. I did love it. It was a little too neat Scooby Doo ending that Jamie was all like leery, and she'd have gotten away with it too if it wasn't for you damn kids.
And it would have been mine if it hadn't been for those meddling kids.
That meddling 16-year-old girl.
Velma and Shaggy figure it out again. Yeah, it was a little that it could have. I mean, really, does it have to be like? Larry?
I did find it very interesting that they cut to black. I mean, fade to black. I was like, it's over.
Yeah.
So she's going to be more of a villain.
Yeah. So clearly they're setting her up to be scorned wench.
You know,
Scorned wench.
That's something very interesting that I hadn't thought of.
What?
Wow. See, here we go again. I can't really say much because let's just say that up until this point, he didn't see her like that. They never had that.
Yes, I completely agree. I mean, well, in the book, I think you can say in the book that they
spoiler,
but they're like, where did this come from? I don't know.
Right.
That's weird. Okay, let's have sex again. You know?
He's not like.
He's not all. He doesn't do like.
Yeah. So that's very interesting that they're bringing him into the leery, crazy situation.
You're right. We can't really say more about that, but the fact that he is suspicious of her from the get-go.
But they are now establishing her as a bad guy.
Yeah. Bad girl. Bad little Larry. Bad little Leghair. So that's it. Then fade to black. Credits roll. We left the theater last night, and I went to St. Andrews and you went home. I should have gone upstairs. I totally forgot there was a party up, or there was a large group of people who were gathered upstairs, because I went in. Third sister Jill came in with us, or came into the city with us, as did my Outlander mentor Emily, and so the three of us went to St. Andrews, and the bar was empty. It's like, how come all the people aren't here? Who knew? Anywho.
Yeah, I would have liked to if it was a different night and I could have stayed, and it wasn't a school day, and I'm going to Florida and getting up at 3:30 in the morning and driving. So, I'm not the one driving, but.
So, all right, that's about it. Should we tell the story about Third Sister Jill's experience in the exhibits?
Yeah, Third Sister Jill is standing there watching a video, and a voice comes up.
Because we didn't see the exhibits, by the way, because we were on the road.
We didn't see anything.
It kind of was like Carol and I were working.
I know.
And all the friends we brought, we're having fun, and we were working.
Did you and I, chow on that popcorn or
Oh
what?
my God.
We were
so
you guys,
hungry.
We ate at like, I don't even know what time I ate at, like 2 or something. We're standing outside forever. So when we finally got inside, it's like 7:30 or something, Tracey, maybe?
Yeah.
And we get inside and they had free popcorn and soda. And I heard you go, "Where's the diet soda?" And the 2 of us grab our diet soda and popcorn. And the 2 of us, everybody around us, they had to seat us in the dark. The show was already on for a while. It was halfway over when we got in there.
Yeah, we missed like 15 minutes.
We had to climb over a bunch of people and we sit down and this is the 2 of us. Just like, like wow.
Oh, and you know, I don't know where people were. We still have to tell the third sister Jill story, but I don't know where people were getting all of these, all this swag. Like people were walking away with these like flasks. Please, someone who knows how we can get one. If somebody from Starz perhaps is watching this and would like to, you know, throw a couple of bones our way, we would like a Starz flask. Anywho.
So Jill's watching this video, and all of a sudden a voice behind her says, "This really sucks."
And she turns around and sees this guy standing there, like dark hair, bearded.
Do we have confirmation that it was him?
Yes, because, well, we have confirmation in that Jill swears on a stack of Bibles. She then, like, sees this, so they, like, laugh, ha, 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 funny, funny. He walks away, and then, like, people start taking pictures of him. And Jill's like,
"Oh.
Why are they taking pictures of that guy?" Yeah, it was Ron Moore, if you have not guessed already.
Yeah.
But then Jill confirmed it because he was in the panel afterwards. And she's like, yeah, that's him. So Ron Moore was in the exhibition hall and talked to third sister Jill. So that means that all 3 sisters have encountered Ron Moore.
Yes, well, all 3 haven't carried a watermelon because I found it very interesting that Ron Moore like couldn't wait to get away from me. I don't know if that's really the case, but
right.
but you know, we were on that freight elevator that time, and I did my bad Grace Scott impression, and you know, he takes off, and I'm like, oh, he couldn't wait to get away from me. And meanwhile, Jill like doesn't even have to do anything. He comes up.
Jill's a magnet.
And do you want to know how stupid I am? I was like thinking that Meryl was,
who I love, by the way.
What I thought she was Terry, and it hit me today as I'm thinking the whole thing through. I'm like, wait a minute, that wasn't. I've seen them together. That's his partner. Like,
no, but that's not his, like, you know, spouse partner. It's his, like, business, professional
his business partner.
All I know is that
she was great, wasn't she?
That Meryl and I had a long conversation about hair because I was like, you know, she got to us in the line and I threw her a couple Outlander like softballs, like whatever. But I'm like, all right, come on, we need to talk about hair here.
And she
had blown her hair dry straight, and she was like, oh yeah, you know, I felt kind of bad, like, you know, like not going curly wise, but the humidity was so low, I just couldn't resist. So we were talking about, like, she gets the wee dot cut. Carol and I get the wee dot cut. She likes, you know, X product, Y product, whatever. That was totally fun.
She likes climate control, because I use that too.
Mm-hmm. So,
but unless I cheap out and go with the fructise.
So it was great. I mean, they were all great. But we have to wrap this up because I'm falling asleep from hitting the wall. And I have a headache that just won't quit.
And I have to get up at 3:30.
So you guys, welcome back.
Yeah, we're psyched to be back.
I know, right? We didn't even talk about Droughtlander and the fact that we kind of liked it a little.
We were like this.
It was, you know, when you make these videos and do these recaps and stuff, Droughtlander was a little bit of a vacation. But I think it went by really quickly. Sorry, it did. It went by like 2 days.
It did. It really wasn't, well, we say that now, please. But we have a great time making these videos. Don't think we don't. We love it. It's just, it's, you know, it's work. Tracey has to do the editing. And at some point, like, I really need to take some kind of class on that so I can. Tracey doesn't like the way I do it because I don't.
I know. That's why Carol has all the videos right now of the red carpet, and I'm like, Carol, don't forget to do this and don't forget to do that. Maybe you should just put them all in Dropbox for me and I'll just do it.
She's a control freak.
I am type A and I'm a firstborn and I'm an Aries. So there you go.
So that makes it all okay.
It does make it all okay. All right, you guys. So we will be back next week with episode 110. It's
Oh my God.
I know, right?
I'm afraid.
Yeah, it's 110.
Oh, did I grab you when he mentioned Colin said Sandringham?
Oh yeah.
I grabbed you. That was one of my answers too. Who do you what character are you looking forward to? And I was like Sandringham.
I know. So all right. So we'll be back next week.
It's all right.
Glad Droughtlander is over. We're glad to have all you guys back. Put comments in the where they go in the comments, and follow us on Twitter and Facebook and on the blog. Monday Night Chats at 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time every week. And that's it. So thanks for watching. And we'll see you next week. Wait, I need to find my turn off thing here. Oh, good Lord. All right. Bye.
Bye.